What is the box method, you may be asking? Your student's coming home saying, my teacher taught me the box method, I need help, mom and dad, and you're not quite sure what's going on. If you look at the box method, you're still using some of the aspects that you used with your traditional algorithm that we were taught in school. It's just organized a little bit different, and it's putting more of an emphasis on paying attention to the place value. Now, the box method is also known as the area method or lattice multiplication, that if you happen to be Googling or looking at it. So box method is just basically the alternative to the traditional algorithm for long multiplication. Now, the box method is a way to multiply large numbers using a grid. Keeps your numbers all nice and organized and neat, so it's hard to miss some of the numbers, or you don't line up your numbers wrong, and even the smallest miscalculation is going to make that answer off, and that can be very frustrating in the long run. This method also breaks the multiplication process down into smaller steps, which students find a little bit easier to do. They can take small chunks at a time, and it's not as overwhelming. The best thing about the box method, that it promotes math thinking. The students are forced to look more at those, again, like the place values and understanding what's going on. It's also going to help them with estimating multiplication problems, which, we all go out to the store and we're estimating cost of things. So that's a good lifelong lesson to have for your students. The nice thing about the grid and how the students are using it, it makes the numbers harder to miss. A lot of times when we're using those numbers and the kids have to carry over, then things start to get a little sloppy, or the number is just not added in, or it's forgotten about, or the wrong number is added in. So I like that it's harder for them to miss. Using the box method, of course, in the long run, it's not the ideal method. You want to eventually transition them to the standard algorithm, but this is a good place to start, because we really want to build that great foundation for the students so that they understand what's going on, instead of just being taught a process of how to do multiplication. So let's take a look at first the traditional that we're probably used, or that we're more used to. For example, 32 times 17. Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because you know how to do this. Your 7 times 2 is 14. We're using that ones place of the 7. We're multiplying by 32. So 7 times 3 is 21, plus 1 more is 22. Then we usually are going to hold that placeholder there and then do the 1, which is in the tens place. So basically you're doing 10 times 32. So that 1 times 2 is 2. The 1 times 3 is 3. We're going to add those numbers up, and our number ends up being 544. So let's look at the box method and how we're breaking it apart for the students to look a little bit more about how they're actually multiplying using that place value. So we're going to draw out our grid. Keep it nice and neat and organized. Gotta love that. And at the top we're going to break apart that 32 into 30 plus 2. So we have the 3 in the tens place, which represents 30, and the 2 in the ones place, which represents 2. And then down across the side we're going to be breaking apart that 17. So we have 10. That 1 represents one group of 10 in the tens place, and then we have the 7 ones. So now the students are just going to basically multiply the numbers at the top and on the side and bring them together. So if we look at 30 times 10, makes us 300. Then they're going to go across to the 10 times 2, which is 20. So basically the kids just did multiplication of 32 times 10, so that tens place. And then we're going to go down to the ones place, and again we're going to be doing that 32 times 7. We're breaking it apart, 30 times 7 and 30 times 2. So we have 7 times 2 is 14, and then we have 30 times 7 is 210. So now we've broken it all apart. They've multiplied each place by the other place. So all they have left now to do is to add it up. I'm going to add it up into the 2 rows here. We have 510 here plus 34 more. And if we add that together, we end up having 544. So So as you can see, we have the same answer as we did with the traditional one. Again, I like this method because the students are actually looking at, hey, you know, when I'm multiplying that 7, I'm actually multiplying it by 32, or I'm multiplying it by 2, and then I'm multiplying it by 30. And then when they get over to that tens place, you know, rather than thinking, oh, I'm doing 32 times 1, it makes them look at it and say, hey, this is actually, I'm multiplying 32 times 10. And as you can see, this is all nice, neat, and organized, so it's a little bit harder to miss those numbers like I was talking about before. I hope this gives you a little bit more light into understanding the box method. If you have any questions, please give me a shout, email, whatever is easier for you. Thanks.